drives it home, and there it is.
Brought to you by Inside Sports International, with support from TornadoFoosball.com and ProtectoFlex. InsideFoos presents FoosTalk Live.
You know, I got a message on my Twitter that said, "Mark, you're brilliant, you're amazing, I'm your biggest fan." And I said, "You know what, Mom? You really need to stop harassing me on my Twitter." But then, you know what, you guys, I woke up because I don't even have a Twitter.
It's FoosTalk Live.
Are you talking to me?
Compelling and lively banter.
Are you going to talk to us?
Talking foosball.
Foosball was how I measured my value as a man. You took that away.
Players and fans, promoters and pros. Unedited and raw.
Talk.
Living in the moment.
We have a lot of important things to talk about.
All while practicing social distancing.
Cool, we'll talk. No big whoop.
Let's get this thing started. FoosTalk Live. Coming to you live from the studios of Inside Foos, it's the 56th episode of FoosTalk Live, a Texas State Championship special edition this evening, brought to you by InsideFoos, offering monthly subscriptions with access to some of the most exciting matches ever recorded and lots more to come, including live tournaments, pre and post show analysis, interviews, and original programming. 518 Prints is also one of our sponsors, one of the best printers in promotional items, t-shirts, jackets, hoodies, and foosball apparel. Visit 518prints.com today. Also brought to you by Foosballers the Movie. Download your copy of this Joe Hesslinger documentary at foosballersthemovie.com. Also brought to you by Foosball Clubs USA, promoting foosball through school systems all over the country. Visit foosballclubsusa.com. And a brand new sponsor this evening, we want to welcome ProtectoFlex, providing protection for all those who are playing the game of foosball. And hello, once again, I'm Tom Robinson with the 56th episode of FoosTalk Live. Thank you for joining us. This is, by the way, the Texas State Championship special, because next weekend, one of the biggest tournaments in the country is about to happen during Memorial Day weekend. And of course, conversation about foosball goes a lot smoother when you get somebody to talk about it with, especially the greatest play-by-play foosball announcer of all time, Jim Stevens. Hello, Jim.
Hi. Audio issues. There we go. Hi, Tom. How are you? Great to be here after a couple of weeks off, and looking forward, of course, as you said, to Texas State Championships. A couple other notes about your intro there. Yes. Foosballers, the documentary, is now available worldwide. So if you're listening to us in Europe, in Asia, anywhere else, you now can download this outstanding film and see what all the hubbub has been about for the last couple of years. And also, as you mentioned, ProtectoFlex, our good friend, Spirit Molise. ProtectoFlex, of course, it's the rod protectors, the safety system. I have one on my table here. Of course, I have two young children, so big fan of ProtectoFlex as well. Right. And Texas State coming up. Can you believe it? Oh, it's been a year and a half since we've really done a major championship, and this is definitely a major, and we're looking forward to it here this weekend.
No doubt about it. Now, 30th anniversary. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the longest continuously running foosball tournament in the country, correct?
I believe it is the longest continuing running tournament in the world.
Oh, really?
I don't think there's any that are any longer that are tournaments. There have been leagues going on. I think I once was at a German league night. Then I think they've been playing since about 1952. But as far as tournaments go, I think this is the longest running one, at least that I know of, in the entire world. What about you, Mark?
Let me unmute myself. I don't know, but that's a good trivia question, right? Give us a tournament. If you're listening to this, I have no point of reference other than Texas State is the longest running continuously managed tournament. With the one exception was COVID year, which there were plenty of tournaments that took a break last year. But I would love to hear from other people.
There was one in North Carolina, I know, that featured Bonzini tables that ran for quite a long time, a couple decades at least. But I don't know if that's still active or out there necessarily. Maybe it is.
Yeah. We're not looking for a draw your partner. We're not looking for a league. We're looking for a tournament, a private entity tournament that's been running at least 30 years or longer. I'd love to hear about it. If you're listening in, let's hear what you got.
Yeah, I know Charles McIntosh ran a tornado championship down there in North Carolina for quite a while as well. But I don't know if it was continuous, and I don't know if it went for a full 30 years. So we're giving credit to Texas, at least this week.
Oh, yeah, no question. And this is so exciting because all of us are going to be there together. including Clay. Clay, you're actually right around the corner there, aren't you?
I'm actually in the parking lot right now, waiting. I know I'm a little early, but I can't wait. It's been too long since we've played foosball, and
it's your turf. So you gotta show us, what it's all about to be a Texan.
Well, we'll be plenty of showing. Probably show out, and show up, and show all kinds of nonsense. Yeah, but here I stand with my roll of quarters, just ready to play.
Who are you playing with, Clay? Who are you playing with?
It's confidential information. I don't want to really upset anybody. I get my inbox is flooded. Hey, can you play with me? Can you please play with? Finally, can you play with me? And I say, look, Tony, I know you're kind of good, but no, I'm kidding. I'm playing with a family member of mine in open doubles.
Oh, cool,
my cousin, who's local here, and name of Billy Roberts, and we're gonna upset somebody. They're gonna expect to beat us, and we're gonna smash them instead. And pro doubles, I'm playing with Tom Rios.
Really?
Yeah. And that's what's neat. And we're going to talk a little bit about with Steve Murray's going to join us later on to talk a little bit about who's going to be there, who's playing with who, etc. Right. We're getting kind of busy, and it's cool. It's great to get back out on tour. Of course, we're going to be at Texas State, which is what this show tonight's all about. We'll be there this weekend, and then 2 weeks after that, we're going to be down in South Florida at the Beachtown Beatdown down in Lake Worth, Florida, with Tommy and Dana Brewer and company. Looking forward to that. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll be up in Denver, Colorado for the national championships, the IFP national championships as well. So we have a busy month coming up for Inside Foos.
We're making up for lost time, to say the least. No doubt about it. And I think that once these tournaments have started underway, we're going to see a whole lot more action. The Nationals taking place this year, correct?
Yeah, in Denver, that's the last weekend of June in Denver, and looks like that's going to be a fun one as well. And so that's just, everybody says, Jim, you live in Colorado, so you're just down the street from Denver, right? And I say, no, I'm not. I'm actually 385 miles from Denver, about a 7-hour drive over 2 very tall mountain ranges in order to get there. I live down, of course, in Durango in the southwest corner of Colorado, but it is the same state. So I will probably drive instead of flying. Interesting.
You'll be able to bring the entire family, I take it.
Maybe that's a possibility. Certainly, always when you have 2 small children, the issue is babysitters, and the second issue is, do you really want to bring small children into a tournament room? Yeah.
Only if it's Texas State.
Yeah, I'm bringing mine.
Texas State.
I'm bringing mine.
And they have been. And my daughter Ari has been to Texas State before, and has loved it and enjoyed it. Hung out with Sullivan Rue when Sully was probably 10 years old, and had a great time.
Yeah.
But this is a family tournament. Texas State, that's one of the neat things about it. And anybody who's ever been, anybody who will go next weekend will see that, it's designed to cater to families. And so my family will not be there for this one, but certainly in the future, we look forward to getting both my son and daughter there to enjoy a great Texas State championship.
Man, this is going to be good times, to say the least. So I hope we get this whole thing on tape. That'll be, well, maybe most of it anyway. Well,
tape or film, one of the two. Yeah.
And by the way, we're planning on doing some special broadcasting from the Texas State Championships, probably one an evening, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or give or take. But I think we'll change up our broadcast schedule just a little bit to accommodate the number of personalities walking around that place. So yeah,
you know what else was coming, you guys? Before podcasts became really popular, there was a progenitor for foosball radio.
Really?
And the gentleman's name is Brad Anderson, and he is showing up to this tournament, man. He's going to hang out.
Yeah, he usually does. Oh, good. We can get him up in the booth and in chat as well.
Yeah,
of course.
I need to get an interview with him in each of his accents.
In each of his accents?
Each of his accents, yeah.
Yeah, between you and him, Clay, I think we've got about 40 different people.
Well, yeah, he does different accents. I do different people altogether, like different everything, yeah.
Personas, yeah, no doubt.
All right.
Yeah. You've got, what is it, like 5 or 6 in your hip pocket there, Clay?
At least. There's 5 or 6 in the room with me right now, and I could probably go find a few more if I needed to.
You need help, buddy. You need help.
They're all channeled by a Ouija board.
They don't have help for what I be having, you know what I'm saying? Hey, listen.
Who is that?
I forget his name, but he's my homeboy.
What is up with that, man? I tell you.
Let's move on to the show.
These
keep
guys,
this thing rolling.
Lord.
Going to Texas and really having a great time. It really works up a mighty thirst. What Jim and I like to do right about this time is to reveal our favorite IPA. Oh yes, and of course, Jim, I was thinking that maybe tonight we could have had Texas IPAs, but anyway, What's the next best thing?
I looked. I actually went down to my local Star Liquors, it's called, down the street here, to look and see if I could find a Texas IPA, and unfortunately I did not find one. Next week I plan on having a few, and Mr. Steve Murray, the Hall of Famer, the promoter of this event, has assured me that there will be some good Texas IPAs. I'm staying in Colorado.
Okay.
That's a green label, isn't it, Jim? You have a green label, don't you?
Green label.
Look at that. Is that cool?
See the
Ooh,
background.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah, I bet you did.
That is cool.
Look at that. Is that something?
Yes, I'm right through that, by the way.
Anyway, I'll hold it this way. There we go. It's called Hopulent. Hopulent out of Epic Brewery in Denver, Colorado. It's in a tall bottle, which means it's pretty good usually. It's a single IPA, although it goes at 8.7 on the ABV scale. Let's have a taste, of course. I've got the snifter.
Oh, the snifter is necessary.
You know, if I drop this right now and it's spilled everywhere, we might be able to put this on YouTube and go viral.
Yeah.
I just a thought that occurred to me.
Small price to pay.
Bottoms up. There we go. Nice head on that.
Ooh, 8.7. Yeah,
8.7.
Outstanding. Yeah, what are you drinking, Tom? How about you?
Well, I'm going hippie tonight, which is not uncommon. It's called Alice. Alice is actually made with hemp. It's a double IPA.
Oh boy, here we go.
Mason's Brewing, Brewer, Maine. That's the name of the town, Brewer, Maine. So I think they have their act together. But Alice, Mason's Alice, is about to be sampled.
Go
here.
ask Alice.
Little hemp, little hops,
They'll make you smaller.
little psilocybin, mushrooms.
There goes Tom. I'm picturing you with long hair, Tom. I'm sure at some point in your life you absolutely had long hair. There's no
that was back in the day when his name was Tom Robinson, man.
There was never a time such as that. Okay, so Mark, what are you partaking of?
Complete fail. Complete fail.
Whoa.
I don't even have a drink, man. I didn't even get water.
Seriously?
Next, who's next?
Yeah.
Okay.
I assure you that
hey
next
man,
week-
hey, in my defense, I started a 120-hour fast on Wednesday.
Oh, here we
But
go. Again.
on Friday, in my 44th hour, a friend came over with Italian food, and I ate. I broke my fast. I've been eating nonstop since Friday. I've been eating absolutely nonstop. I've been eating.
Now hold on a second. Now you just posted something on Facebook, and I think other foosballers probably know about this. But you posted a Facebook page of a plate with just hot dogs.
Well, listen. When I binge eat the way I've been binge eating, I've had like 10 bowls of cereal for no good reason, like Lucky Charms and Frosted Flakes and hot dogs and rice. So it's going to be a good lead up to this foosball tournament. It's going to be a really good lead up to this.
And I assure everyone that Mark will partake of a Texas IPA next weekend.
Yes.
We definitely enjoyed the Pacific Northwest up in Moneyball a few weeks ago, didn't we?
I only hope
we partied.
his own private bathroom for the tournament. That would be good. Yeah.
Yes, for everyone else. Yes.
And again, mentioning Moneyball, thanks. I know we're not done with this segment yet, but thanks to Don and Kopi and everyone up there. We had such a great time. What a great event that was. Got some great video. The number one video from that event on the InsideFoos.com website, the amateur doubles final that Mark and I did. The last match we did on Sunday night, which at the time, we were a little loopy, a little delirious, had a good time.
So what you're saying, it was inside booze is what it was, huh?
It
is. Listen, you could watch hundreds and hundreds of matches right now, whether it's Federico versus Tony or Todd versus Johnny Horton, whatever you want, you could find on there. The number one most viewed match is the amateur double final at Portland Moneyball. Yeah, and it's because who the hell knows why? It's a mystery.
My wife put it on last night, and I watched the first 5 minutes of it because I had not even, I had not watched it since then. And I laughed out loud like 4 times. It was hilarious.
Well, I'm going straight for that as soon as the show's over tonight. So thanks for the tip on that, by the way.
All right.
And so Clay, what are you drinking? What are you having this evening?
The greatest soft drink known to man. It's from the Dr. Pepper bottling company, but it's not Dr. Pepper. It is Tahitian Treat.
No way. They still have Tahitian Treat?
And when they stop having it, I'll buy Dr. Pepper and make sure they bring it back. That is my absolute favorite drink.
As a kid, man, that was one of my faves. That's awesome. It's still around.
Well, thanks for the insult there, without intention, I'm sure. But here I am, a grown-ass adult, 41 years old, drinking your favorite childhood drink. So thanks. Yeah, Tahitian Treat.
That is great. No, that I'm so impressed. Well, we do have to toast our Our honor group of the week. Our honor group of the week to everybody from Texas.
Here you go. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Oh, yeah. To the whole state. And, well, we're going to try and cover the entire thing as best we can.
We're going to try.
Well, guys, I think that it's only fair, if we're talking about Texas all night, we may as well take a look back at what happened in the past.
With great moments in foosball history, this is a FoosTalk Live Flashback.
Archer, possession on his 5. Mike goes back along the wall. He's got a chance to win a second straight Texas State Championship. He's going to bring Brandon Moreland out of the goalie position.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call.
All right, all the pressure on the shoulders of Emilio Gilmore. Trying to hold off Brandon Moreland, who's got a chance to put it away. Brandon scored the last 2 points of the last game. He scored the 4th point from goalie. He's looking to score the final point from forward as he sets it up.
I'm looking at the straight.
And strokes it long. For the second consecutive year, Brandon Moreland and Michael Archer are the Texas State Open Doubles champions. Great performance from Tony Sprademan and Emilio Gilmore. But once again, it's Archer and Moreland.
A terrific performance by both teams.
Listen in next time for another great moment in foosball history. It's FoosTalk Live Flashback.
Wow, Brandon Moreland beating Tony Sprademan. What year was that in Texas States?
2003 at Texas State's. This was literally, 4 or 5 months, maybe even less, 3 months before Tony won his first world championship in open singles in 2003, defeating Lewis Cartwright in the final there. He was playing with his good buddy, Emilio Gilmore, really good player out of Milwaukee, as Tony was at that time as well. Very young Tony Sprademan, that's for sure. I believe he was 18 or 19, 18? 18
Yeah, so he was
at the time. Wow. And still, it was Tony. He still had that kind of game. But Brandon and Michael Archer, they won 2 years in a row. No one expected them to win either time. But, of course, Brandon's so physically talented and gifted and has grown up on a table. And Michael Archer, one of the smartest players you're going to find. And they just really worked well as a team. One guy would play forward, the other guy would play goalie. They'd mix it up. There was no goalie or forward really on the team. They were just both foosball players. And it was really quite astounding almost that they were able to do it 2 years in a row. And a testament to the quality of both these players' games.
No doubt. Well,
Brandon was always a monster scorer from net. Mm-hmm. But there was something about the early 2000s where everything was on goal. He was shooting like a beast. But correct me if I'm wrong, Jim. I feel like there was another major. I remember in the Nationals, and they did the same thing. And Brandon missed the shot. And it was their one shot. It was the one chance to win an additional major outside of the Texas State Championship. And who were they playing? Was it Bobby and Terry in the final, or?
It might have been. It was early 2000s. It was in, I think, Las Vegas. I think it was the Hall of Fame Classic in Las Vegas. Okay. I'd have to look it up to see who it was, but there was a chance for them, and we actually kind of thought they were going to win that. And we'll have to look up and see who it was that ended up beating them, because there were several different doubles winners at that time of that event, and they could have been one of them. And that really would have cemented them as one of the great teams, I think, of that era, if they could have pulled that one off.
Right. Great team, incredible team in the early 2000s.
Yeah, amazing stuff. To think that there was a time when in Tony's career that he was actually beatable. But yeah, that's very cool. So I wonder this year, what are your shall we say projections to Texas State's next weekend? Let's say Tony Sprademan and some others show up. Anybody have any ideas as to what might happen in the Open?
I think so. I think we do. We all, I think, are going to be, when Steve Murray joins us after the top 5. I think we're going to kind of detail who the teams are that have a chance to win, and who are the other players that have a chance of taking second in singles, and so we'll talk about that certainly. And in what is basically a Texas State preview tonight, the entire show dedicated to this outstanding championship, and the man behind the Texas State championships will be joining us here in a little bit. But I think Mark has some ideas. I've got some ideas. Clay probably does, and I know Steve Murray does as well.
Absolutely.
Coming up.
So some quick, because I've never been. Jim, Mark, Clay, share some of your favorite moments from Texas State's in the past. Just a quick overview of what you've experienced there.
Real quick for me first. I played with Jim in open doubles. The last time I played that tournament, I think it might have been 2006.
Okay.
And I just won a pro doubles tour event with Adam Gilson, and so maybe the expectations were high on what I could produce, but I could tell you I didn't do anything at that. I don't even remember I don't remember if I scored the points well. I was playing no goalie for Jim. I don't think I slid the points well, but I had a great time. The one time I think I played with Jim, and it was a really good time. I have very fond memories. What Texas State is the most well-run, organized, professional event. If foosball had more tournaments like Texas State, with a team of organized, committed people, then foosball would have a much better I don't want to disparage. I'm just saying, if we took Texas State and cloned it around the country, foosball would be an incredible experience. It is the one tournament people bring their kids to.
Right.
It's the tournament people are gratified, and everyone walks away saying, "Man, I had a good time. It was a great hotel. It was a great experience. The food was good. The people were good to me." So that's a fond memory of Texas State for me, and I love going back to that tournament this week.
Jim, what do you remember most?
You know, for me, my first Texas State championship was in the mid '90s, held at a Clicks or a Speeds Billiards there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Setting up on a bar table with some cameras and things, and it was great. And the competition was what I remember the most about those early days, especially, is how intense and fierce it could be in Texas in the '90s. But also the history in that part of the world. Texas foosball was instrumental in the development not only of the tournament soccer tour early on, but at the Dynamo Tour and Tornado Tour as well. All three tours were kind of there. In the 70s, 80s, and then into the 90s. And so many great players. In fact, we're going to talk about it in our top 5 tonight. I think it's 13 different Hall of Famers from the state of Texas, steeped in history. And you really get that sense even today. We'll have the Texas Legends ceremony each year, where we induct new players into this very prestigious Hall of Fame type of thing, but it's called the Texas Legends. And of course, Steve Murray will join us tonight. Steve cries at every one of these. Don't tell him I said that. There isn't been one where a tear isn't coming down. He's so emotional. It means so much to Steve Murray. He understands the importance of the history and about running a quality event. But it's all of that. It's not necessarily one memory I have of a specific event. It's the overall, the history, and again, like Mark said, how well it's run, and also just how much it was a part of my early kind of upbringing on the pro tour. I did a Texas State, I want to say 1994, which was very early in the InsideFoos days. So anyway.
Yeah. So Clay, what can you tell us about your memories of Texas State?
Man, my number one favorite moment isn't even a foosball moment. I mean, I won my first tournament there. I won rookie doubles in like 2015, which was freaking awesome, and I still have that jacket, and I enjoyed that event a lot. But my favorite actual moment, and I have a picture of this, by the way, is I was in the booth doing stats or whatever with Jim, and my son was there. And I've said before, this is the one tournament where my kids will be there at some point during the weekend. And I have this picture. It's the coolest freaking picture, man. Jim's doing his thing. He's doing play-by-play, looking at the table. And my kid, who was like probably 11 or 12 at the time, is sitting like right next to him with his set of headphones on. And so I'm like slightly behind them, and I can see Jim. I can see my son. I can see the table one. And I can see the entire foosball room. And so I just think, what, this is awesome. I'm going to snap a quick picture. And in a picture, it tells you everything that Texas State is to me. It's a top tier event. Table one was like a serious match with legit contenders, and you had Jim, in my mind, the voice of foosball, doing his thing. And then you have, my son's name is Jet, my favorite Jet in the whole world, sitting right next to him. And then behind all that in the backdrop is just foosball as far as the eyes can see. And to me, that's what Texas State is. Like, it's a family friendly thing. And it's also, by the way, some serious competition going on. So it's not even a foosball moment for me personally. It's just more like a dad / foosball fan moment. But that's what I think of when you ask that question.
Yeah, it was like you rehearsed that one.
I didn't. I had no idea what I was going to say when you asked that, but there you go. Yeah.
I absolutely remember
that's
that
exactly
moment.
What come to mind.
I think I've seen the picture. I think you've shown it to me, but I absolutely remember Jet sitting next to me doing a little color for that event.
Yep.
Great story.
Wow. And is there a possibility of a budding broadcaster in your midst there, Clay? Possibly maybe a future host?
It could be. It could be. I don't know. He's a lot taller, and his voice is a lot deeper these days. He's 14 going on 15, so he's a young man now instead of a big boy. So but I don't know. I mean, he didn't really take hold of foosball as far as playing goes, but he likes pretty much. He's like me. He likes anything with competition. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Wow. Well, if he needs any pointers, let me know. I'll be happy to.
Sure, will do. Thank you.
Well, not like I'm the person to talk to. Anyway,
When it comes to talking, oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? We should probably dive into this because, of course, the whole idea here is all about Texas State Championships, and of course, our regular feature here, the top 5. Now, tonight, we are featuring the top 5 Texans who have made the Hall of Fame. Now, I should probably ask for clarification before we begin the feature, because is it the top 5 Texans in the National Hall of Fame, or is it the top 5 Texans who are just Hall of Famers?
It's in the California Hall of Fame, Tom.
Wait a minute. We might get into that a little bit. We might get into that. But no, it's the top 5 Texas Hall of Famers not named Steve Murray, because no matter what, Mark and I were going to have Steve Murray at the top of the list. How can you not? So we're pushing Steve to the side for now. Of course, he's going to join us right afterwards. So it's a top 5 Hall of Famers from the state of Texas, and again, there have been 13 Hall of Famers in the National Hall of Fame from the state of Texas. And Mark and I are going to pick our top 5.
Awesome. Well, let's get into that. Time once again for the Foods Talk Live Top 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here's Jim Stevens and Mark Torres.
Man, I've missed that USC marching band. Thank you. It's been a couple of weeks. Yeah, and again, 13 different names to choose from, basically, here. And 3 of those names were actually more executives, people involved with the development of Tornado in particular, although Dynamo also was very had roots in the state of Texas. So I want to look at 3 individuals to start with, in Dave Currington, who ran Tornado for quite a long time. Actually 4. There's actually 4 of them. Ed McLeod, of course, the president of Tornado for many years, also in the Hall of Fame. Bob Hayes, early development of it. Bob Furr, who was really early on in it with Bob Hayes, et cetera, in the development of the table, the man, the logo, everything else. So I wanted to honor those 4 guys. They're not in my top 5. I tended to look at it more from a player perspective, but I certainly wanted to bring those guys up. And Mark, of course, we never know what each other are going to do. We take it from different angles oftentimes. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Well, I was all over the place, but I'll just say this before we get started. I don't have Johnny Lott in my top 5.
Oh!
Because when I did a top 5 from California, I got crap for not having Johnny Lott in my California list.
Do tell.
So he wants to claim California. He wants to claim California. He can't also claim Texas. So
right.
Johnny Lott, that's how I do now. I guess we could just get rolling, man. That's how I don't have Johnny Lott on my list. I hope someone text him and tell him he's not on my list.
Thanks for the clarification. I'm sure he'll love that. Food Talk Live. Top 5. Number.
All right, let's get this rolling, man. I actually do have Hayes for McLeod, and I'm adding Gary File now. The reason why is because the Tornado foosball table is built like a tank. It is built like a tank, and I have some historical background because I asked questions about it. In the early offering of Tornado, it was actually leased. They used to lease Tornado tables, and they actually had 2 different color men. And they had a leasing program where they placed foosball tables in bars and split, like I think it was 50, 25, 25. But they knew ahead of time that they were going to lease the foosball table to create relationship with vendors. So they built the Tornado foosball table like an absolute tank for resilience, durability, long-term preservation of the table. And they knew these things were going to get beat up. The program didn't work that well because of the way it was set up. So there's a little more background on this. And they had depending on the integrity of the people they leased the tables to, they had to repossess tables. They had to do all kinds of awkward stuff. But to get away from the program, Tornado, when people get an opportunity to play it, and I'm talking about overseas too, it is embraced as a dominant piece of manufacturing. It's an incredible table because of the way it's built, because it was designed from day one to be sustained. And I mean, they last you treat a Tornado table right, it lasts for a long time. Tornado just needs a little bit of visibility overseas and in other places, and people are going to play that thing, and they love it when they get a chance to play it. So I got to give those guys credit. I didn't go with and adding Gary Fowler. I was told if Mr. File was not in my top 5, it was a travesty. And I guess I never got to see him play, but I guess he is the mainstay and he is the steward of the Texas style of play. The passing and the 3-bar shooting, the pull shot. So I got to give credit to that gentleman. So you put those 5, is that
all
5
of them.
people? You put them all together, and you get Texas foosball. You get the great table that we have, and funny, it all leads to where we are right now with the Texas State Championship, the heart of foosballs in Texas, the greatest tournaments in Texas, and those are the progenitors for why we have our great tournament next week.
Wow, love it. Well done. Well done. Yeah, and to kind of jump on what Mark said about the tornado table, yes, it's built like a tank, but it's also built for playability. And I think that's the thing that people are embracing around the world. You know what? As I've traveled overseas more and more over the last few years, and especially in Germany, you ask some of these young German players who are obviously growing up on these German tables, but also embracing the idea of multi-table play. You ask them what their favorite table is, most every one of them will tell you it's Tornado, just because of the playability of it. They're not even looking at it as a table you can stick in a bar and leave in there for a year and not worry too much about it. It's a highly playable table as well.
And one last note before you get into your 4, I know firsthand that over at Lienhardt they're trying to make their table heavier. They're looking for creative ways. I've heard, hey, should we bolt this thing to the ground? So they're trying to make it heavier to act like a tornado. That's
And I hear they were going to put steel men on there as well, but that didn't work out.
Oh, the concrete legs. I've heard that they're trying everything they can to make the table heavier because they want it like a tornado. Anyway,
if anybody can figure it out, it's the Germans, right?
Yeah, right.
But you talked about, and you mentioned Gary File. I don't have him on my top 5 only because I never saw him play, and perhaps his career was too short. But he was right there at the beginning, and he helped to develop what became the professional style of play, the American style, the passing and the shooting, taking your time, etc. And there are some great pictures of him. If anybody wants to Google Gary File foosball online, there's a great picture of him looking like a pro, looking like a golf pro, as so many of them did in the 70s. And we're talking early 70s. We're talking 74, 75, even earlier than that, I think, in some cases, with his tour experience. But I've got another guy at number 5 who was around at that point and was a very successful player. Maybe, early on, 75, 74, 75, 76, maybe he was the best singles player on tour. And I'm talking about Steve Simon, a guy that was a dominant player, didn't really grow with the game, didn't really evolve once the Northwest players came in, the Minnesota players came down, the Colorado players, those different player bases that were so instrumental in the development of the sport on the tournament soccer tour. But he had great success early on, knows the game inside and out. We've had a chance to see Steve over the years when we've traveled down to his hometown of Austin and talked to him about it. He still has such a great appreciation for the history of the sport, et cetera, and has tried to even develop tables, et cetera, and stay involved in that respect. But, in 1975 international championships, he won open singles, second in 76, and these were basically early world championship size tournaments. Did win the 77 mixed doubles world championship as well, but was a guy that, again, kind of took what Gary File did and then it continued to kind of evolve the early TS style of play. And so I got one of the greats of all time, Hall of Famer Steve Simon at number 5.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 4.
I got Steve Simon at number 4. It's because I didn't know who to put there, and Jim just told me. No, just kidding. I have Steve Simon at number 4. Here's what I love about Steve. I only know the stories.
That's not true.
It's not true. I only know the stories, and I've read plenty of the stuff, and there's a lot of revisionist history. You don't really know what the hell happened, right? Because people can say whatever. People can say literally whatever they want, and then it's funny. You can get another TS guy to argue with that guy and say that's not how it happened. I love all that too. All the stuff they make up and whether it's real or not. But I know this for a fact. Steve Simon was one of the great singles player of that era, and I know that the rules being basically written, like the way I understand the history, they would have a tournament and people would do stuff and then they'd create rules to fix whatever the craziness was that happened in the tournament before. And you hear these stories over and over, like stop ball passing and bounces off the wall and all kinds of craziness they do. And so you had to be a gritty, like you had a ton of fortitude to win singles back in the TS days and even bridging to the Dynamo era and beyond. But I know that he was a gritty, tough opponent. He didn't back down when it mattered in the clutch, and these guys were like big dudes playing on a small light table and fighting. So Jim listed the accolades. I got Steve Simon at number 4.
Yeah, no. And before we move on, and I give you my number 4, I wanted to touch a little bit on Johnny Lott. I do not have him in my top 5. Johnny Lott was instrumental early on in the later part of the decade of the 70s in the development of a lot of things, passes and styles of play. 1980 world champion in singles on TS, which was in an era of incredible players. A really, really great player, deservingly in the Hall of Fame for his playing merits. The reason I don't have him in there, number 1, I'm not sure he's from the state of California or Texas anymore. I don't know. Although I do remember him moving to California in the very early 1980s, right before the movie Long Shot. But as great as his career was, his post-career accomplishments don't quite measure up to get him into the top 5. At number 4, I've got no Steve Murray tonight. No Steve Murray because we agreed on that. But I do have Gina. I have Gina at number 4. Gina Murray, just tenacious back there. So good defensively as a goalie. Clearing percentage is always going to be good shooter. Just a fighter. I'm not sure where she got that from. But she's just a competitor back there. And great, world championships with her husband, Steve. Consistent throughout the years. Women's doubles titles, etc. Always seems to be in the mix, especially if she's got a quality forward, which she often does, and can play a little forward herself when need be. But for me, Hall of Famer, so successful, holds the record for the longest Hall of Fame speech in history. I love her. And at number 4 for me, it's none other than Miss Gina Murray.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 3.
All right, Jim and I never collude or collaborate on our numbers. We don't. We just do this and shoot from the hip every time. Sometimes we're way off. Often in times like these, we can be kind of close. My number 3 is Gina Murray. And I love Gina Murray. It's funny because she's Steve's better half, and she does it quietly back there. That push shot, man, she could put that thing on goal every single time. I watched her play Draw Your Partner on the Bearded Wonder Foosball promotion, and she was scoring 2 a game. She was terrifying, and she's always been that way. So she's a gritty, tough player, and I'm sure that's why they're soulmates. Because she's just a fighter who does it with less transacting with the audience than Steve does. But she's in the clutch. Puts that thing on goal. She's not afraid of anybody. She's been in every situation, and I don't even know how many. Jim, I don't even know if you can count. Regional, state titles, the mixed stuff, all the stuff with Steve. All that stuff is like, I'm fortunate to have a couple of expert novice wins and some. They lost count. This woman's won so much stuff. There's no telling. She probably doesn't even know. So when we talk about women deserving to be in the Hall of Fame, where career stands out outside of anything Steve Murray has done, Gina Murray easily my number 3. Now I want to tell you I kind of want to say my number 2 because I think my number 2 is Jim's number 3. I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to sit here and shake my head viciously if Jim's going to say my next number. All right, so Gina Murray's my number 3. Go ahead.
Man, pressure's on. And you sold yourself a little short, by the way, buddy. You said you had a couple of expert and novice titles. Don't forget, I believe you also won an amateur title as well,
that's right,
if I'm not mistaken.
Baby. That's as good as any TS win, by the way.
That has to come up every single week forever. My number 3, and again, what we base our decisions on, who knows, right? But for me, at number 3, and maybe I've got him a little bit low, and maybe I do, but number 3 for me is a Texas legend for sure, a man who doubled at the 1991 World Championships, winning doubles and singles. It's John Smith out of Pasadena, Texas, which was one of the hotbeds, and we're not through with Pasadena yet here tonight. But John Smith. And even over the last couple of years, he's kind of come back out on tour. And I remember a match a couple of years ago at the Tornado World Championships where he played Todd Lafredo and played him tough, played him last game with that Texas pull shot, just managing his game so brilliantly and beautifully on the 5, the 3, at goalie, etc. This is a true high-end professional player. Of course, he and his brother Daniel, for so many years during the 1980s, were as good a team as you had on Tornado, or certainly one of them up until the later decade when Mr. Murray kind of took over. But John Smith, just a supreme player who had that great Texas pull shot, but also the great management skills on the table, feisty and competitive, the typical Texas guy, especially from Pasadena or Houston, or the rivalry they had with Dallas and et cetera. I mean, that was some fighting times back there in the 80s on that Tornado tour, both regionally and, of course, nationally. But for me, John Smith doubling at the World Championships. I mean, what an accomplishment to win singles, win doubles with Kevin Keeter, and just to do it the way he did it, to win one is remarkable. To win 2 in one weekend, really remarkable. So for me, number 3, John Smith.
Foos Talk Live Top 5. Number 2.
My number 2 pick isn't about skill, and it's not even about wins because I'm not even sure what the wins are. It's more about being a pioneer and getting on the road and taking a risk when it absolutely was a risk and not knowing where you would land. And so my number 2 is Lori Schrantz. There are some great pictures showing Lori Schrantz, and we're talking about the great TS champion who traveled around the country in that Ken Allwell, Doug Furry, Jim Wiswell band of caravan of bandits traveling all around the world, or all around the country rather, playing these foosball tournaments, and her being kind of the lighting the way for women to be successful in professional foosball. So less about skill and how she won. I only have pictures of her playing foosball. More about the memory of her pioneering the sport and being a great icon and recognition for the hard work she did in a very volatile, interesting time for foosball. Lori Schrantz is my number 2.
Yeah, I've got Lori at number 2 as well. And again, we did not collude on this, but when you look at her record, it's remarkable. Going all the way back to 1974, right? At the International Championships in 1974, she wins mixed doubles. Fast forward to 1980, at the end, basically, towards the end of the tournament soccer tour. She's there at the beginning, and in the end, she's winning the women's doubles titles at the World Championship. 1979, tournament soccer best women's singles player of the year. Also goalie of the year. Same year, she wins goalie of the year, and she wins women's singles player of the year. This was a remarkable player, and you hear the stories about her. I got to see her play a couple of times in the late part of that decade. And she was as good as any goalie out there, not just men, anybody. She would play open doubles events and do well. This was a great lady player, and she was also the significant other of Jim Wiswell towards the end. And when I say the end, I mean the end, unfortunately. And, of course, Jim, who passed away in 1981 by his own hand, and really, I know, devastated her, and that was it for her. She was done. And it's a tough thing to talk about. It's history. We need to talk about it. It's what happened. But to celebrate what this woman did, and she was by far, and to say she was the greatest player, the greatest lady player of that decade, and maybe one of the 5 best players overall of that decade, is to say something based on the other great lady players that existed, the other great goalies that were playing at that time. But originally out of Texas, moved up to Minnesota for a bit. But this was an amazing player, legendary player. When you talk about the legendary players of the 1970s, Doug Furry, of course, comes to mind, maybe in Jim Wiswell and Tom Spear and others, but she's right there with him. She was an amazing player, and from what I hear, a great person. Did have a chance to meet her maybe 5 or 10 years ago. But for me, it wasn't any question about it that she should be very high on this list, and I have her at number 2, as did Mark.
FoosTalk Live proudly presents the top 5. Number 1.
I think we have the same number 1.
Of course we do.
Well, let's see. So, this gentleman is a world champion, and then he gets to do something that a lot of his predecessors do not get to do. He gets to go overseas and test himself against the best players in the world on their tables. And he gets to do that time and time again and bring home gold for the United States. So we're talking about a great forward. When I first started seeing T-Mac play, he was a forward. And he starts playing goalie for Dave Gummison, and he is as stellar a goalie as the game has ever seen. But I think it's not just his accolades winning majors on Tornado and how he presents himself. Guys, he's one of those guys where when you first get to meet him and you know him, you're like, really? I mean, this guy must be a serial killer. Is he really this nice? I mean, seriously? Is this whole Southern gentleman thing, is this real? It's real. It's real. The guy's a consummate gentleman. He presents himself so as the nicest guy on the planet. Feel free to light up my Facebook Messenger if you know some secret about T-Mac. But outside of that, he goes overseas. He plays on against the top competition in the world, and he wins and brings home gold for our country time and time again. He's represented himself, and he had the opportunity to do it. Steve Murray, by the way, would be number 1 on this list if it wasn't for this little disclaimer we have. easily number one. Probably and Jim's going to go over this, probably the greatest shooting performance because it was in an open doubles world final. Jim, I'm sure we'll talk about that briefly. Jim, take it away. Who's your number one?
Yeah, of course, it's Tracy McMillan. Body of work, longevity, incredible success. 2 Tornado World Championships, 1 multi-table World Championship, 3 national championships, all with Dave Gummison. Team USA, at least 4 gold medals, I believe, with Team USA. Class act on and off the table, consistent. And as you said, Mark, he started off as a forward. When we all met him the first time, he was a forward, and a good one, a very good forward, and then became one of the great goalies of all time. That 2006 performance in Las Vegas at the World Championships when he scored 11, 10 from goal, 1 from forward. In helping Dave Gummison and him win that championship. One of the greatest performances we've certainly ever seen, period. And the way he handles himself, he's always been so involved. He's involved with USTSO. He's promoted. He is a teacher of other players. He's a great partner. When you watch he and Dave playing together, the camaraderie they have, the chemistry they have, they're brothers, they're best friends on the table, best man at Dave's wedding. And so, when we can't put Steve Murray up top, I think there's only one other guy. And it was tough. It was tough, very, very tough. There's a lot of names that we can look at here. But for me, as for you, once again, Mark Torres, it's Tracy McMillan at number 1 for me.
So conjecture, when it comes to, let's say, the future, let's say we do this feature again, I don't know, in 5 years, just before Texas State's. Who do you think will be on your top 5? Anybody that's up and coming in the state?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Probably Clay Toomey would be on there for sure. Would be one.
Right.
Brandon Moreland could creep up there at some point. He's not done yet. You can't tell when someone's career peaks until it's over, and Brandon could rattle off dozens of world championship wins in the next 10 years. We don't know.
Yeah, and I think Brandon already, is probably headed for the Hall of Fame. I think he probably is. Okay. And so if we're looking at only Hall of Famers, of course, we have to factor that in.
Right.
Yeah. And so I think of all the Texas players currently playing, he may be the only one that you would say is a fairly certain Hall of Famer. Okay. So I think he would probably be the guy that absolutely, once he gets into that Hall of Fame, we can insert into that list. So,
by the way, how old is Brandon?
60.
6. Maybe a little younger. I feel like we've known him since he was a kid, but he's been around a long time. I'm going to say he's maybe 40.
No, I think he's like 36 or 37, something like that.
Thanks,
Late 30s?
Maybe.
Late 30s. Okay.
60. Had me going there for a second. I thought I'd hope.
We didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we are so privileged, I got to say, because we're all going to get together at Texas State's for the 30th anniversary, which is astounding in any sport, regardless of whether it's foosball or not. And we are so extremely fortunate as well to have the person who's really solely responsible for the success of Texas State tournament, our Texas championships. Please welcome to FoosTalk Live once again, Steve Murray. Hello, Steve.
Hey guys, what's happening?
How are you, man?
I'm doing good. So listen, before we get started, hey Jim, I'm going to warm up for the ceremony real quick.
I see.
Oh,
it's an Oscar moment. It's an Oscar moment every year.
One of the toughest competitors the sport's ever seen, but a softie at heart.
Listen, you know what? I used to have to get pissed off, so I wouldn't do that every match. I'm an old softie. You know that. But that's why I was so mean on the table. It's the only way I could stay competitive. Unless I didn't want to make the guys make me cry. But
yeah.
So but listen, I want to tell you both that Tracy McMillan would probably be the better choice. You nailed it. The guy is the consummate pro and one of the best foosers we've ever seen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not to mention just a superhuman being and a very good friend.
Yeah. For
sure. Hold on.
Yep. What an actor. What an amazing actor.
No, I'm serious, man. I love Tracy like a brother, and he's more deserving than I am. And I would also say that, in my opinion, and this is nothing against T-Mac because I have the utmost respect for his game, I personally think that Brandon's probably the best player in Texas right now. And he comes from a pretty good background of not only his dad, but his mother were fantastic foosball players. So I'm a little biased maybe because we're on opposite sides of the state or whatever. But I tell you what, I'd bet on both of them any day. But I love them both dearly, and they're both fantastic representatives of Texas foosball.
That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Steve, because you have been involved with this championship for so long, what I'd like to do here, just something unique. Let's take you back to the earliest days of promoting this championship. Give me an idea. What was it like the first time you got out of bed and had to go and make sure this thing went off well? And when was that, by the way?
Oh man, I think it was 92, maybe 91.
Okay.
And the thing about it was, honestly, we didn't give it much thought. We just, a group of local guys, me and David and Mike Archer and a few others that were on the local scene back then. We just loved to play, and we loved to compete, and we just wanted to, when promotions started to decline a little bit, we wanted to come up with a tournament that all the players would be proud of, and so we thought, hey, why not? Let's start a state championship and let's see what we can do. And we literally started by moving like 8 tables out of each clique's locations and just getting a little spot in a pool hall, and we started right there, grassroots. But honestly, Tom, we didn't give it a second thought because we just wanted to have a tournament, and we wanted to bring in some good players, and we wanted to compete. Okay. And nothing else really mattered, to be honest with you.
So basically, you started with just a furrow field, planted a couple of seeds, and watched them grow.
Pretty much. This is definitely a grassroots tournament. We started from nothing. We had zero resources.
Okay.
We talked our way into borrowing some tables, and we talked our way into getting a space in the Cliques Billiards. And you know what? Thank the Lord, we were successful, and what I promised the location we could do would bring people in. There'd be some excitement. There'd be some bar sales. There would be some benefits for a location to bring our group in there.
Yep.
Lo and behold, we proved that, and then time and time again we did that. And then it got to the point where they were asking us, "Hey, would you please bring Texas State to our venue because we want your group in here." Right. So it's literally a grassroots. We started from nothing, and here we are. It's in one of the nicer hotels in Dallas-Fort Worth, and super proud of what we've accomplished.
Now, after all this time, there must have been a moment at which you realized, okay, this has really caught on. A lot of people from across the country are coming here. What was that tipping point? Do you remember when you flipped the switch, so to speak?
Yeah, I do actually. I remember, and this is when I was still highly competitive and playing all the time. I considered myself more of a player than a promoter, right? But it was pretty apparent to us if we could bring in the better players, and at the time that was the Tom Spears, the Todd Lafredos, and the Tony Bacons, and the guys from that era, and the John Smiths, and all those guys from South Texas. If we could bring them in and just pull that thing together, that it would be an event where people would want to come and not only watch those players but play against them. So, I mean, that was the thought. We wanted to bring in the best players in the country, primarily because we thought we were the best players in the country. Okay, right. And we wanted to play against these guys. So it's just really, that's how it all evolved from there.
Yeah, no, and of course, once certain people start to show up, others want to show up because they want to play against them. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, look at it now. I mean, we have, I could name a list of players that are coming, and it is the who's who in today's world of table soccer. We've got the absolute best players on the planet coming into this tournament. And that's, to me, that says something right there. I mean, to be able to do something that will draw the caliber of players of the Tonys and the Ryans and all those guys and the Tom Yours and the Tom, whatever. I mean, the list is on and on and on, but to do something that you can draw these guys and bring them in and showcase their abilities and showcase what we can do as promoters. That's what we're all about.
Yeah, it does have that reputation. I mean, it's one of the first things. Once I got back into foosball back in the 2000s, early 2000s, that was one of the first tournaments I heard about. Hey, man, you got to go to Texas State. You got to go there. You have to go there. And now I'm finally doing it. But yeah, it took a while.
Well, we're glad you're coming, Tom. I tell you, it occurred to me as I watch, and I still call these people our kids, and I consider Jim and Tom and Mark my kids. Okay, I'm the whole group, but
Did you hear
But
that?
as I watched my kids, the Terry Roos and all the families and them growing up and having families and stuff, I knew that it was extremely difficult to get away, to take time away from family stuff and whatnot. So we decided not only to have an event that would showcase the best players in the country, or in the world for that matter, to also do something that would make it family friendly and make the families want to join in and come together. And we've worked on that pretty hard.
Yeah.
And
I've heard-
really, I mean, that's been our focus for the last several years. Don't get me wrong, the competition, the level of competition and the level of players that come in here is first and foremost in our minds. But it means a lot that these players will bring their families and make it a weekend event on a holiday weekend. So I can't tell you how proud I am of that.
Yeah. No, and Jim mentioned it earlier in the show that he likes bringing the kids to Texas because there's lots of things going on.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jim.
It's set up for other things. So you'll have ping pong tables set up out there, pinball games, cornhole. It's for people to do. Steve, we're 5 days away from Friday, the opening day of this outstanding event. And if you folks out there listening or watching, if you can make it, please try to. I know it's short notice. Try to make it. It's a great event. But if you can't, we will be covering it at InsideFoos.com all weekend long, starting Friday night at 6 p.m. Central Time. We'll be bringing you 4 days of action from this great event. Steve, you talked about the level of competition, and this is something that Mark and I have already batted around a little bit as we prepare for this event. But, I mean, you're getting really everybody there. I don't think Ryan Moore's going to be there. He's got 2 young children. I don't think he's making it. But everybody else of note in the sport will be there. And as we move forward in this preview, we're going to talk a little bit about the pairings of the people, and I know you have a list there of the players who are coming and who are going to be competing together. But it is really what it's about. Yes, it's about family. This tournament's about competition. It's not called the 5th or 6th major or whatever. Let's just stop that. It's a major championship. This is a major championship. When you look at the roll call of players that are going to be in attendance, it doesn't get any better than this. This is world championship quality. Obviously, if we're going to look at singles, I think starting off, Tony Spreadman, the favorite.
How can he not be?
Yeah, he's the favorite in singles. Yeah, who's going to finish second is kind of what it is at this stage, right?
Well,
Steve?
I won't say that. You know what? Ryan Moore has had he's damaged at Texas State before too. But I will say before we move on to that, I just wanted to say too, and I shame on me for not mentioning it. Jim's been with us since 1993, and I knew that he would also bring something that would create some excitement and really bring something to the table to make this tournament evolve. So really, I'm not blowing smoke, Jim. Without you, that's been a big part of this thing for as long as I can remember. And frankly, I can't even imagine this tournament without Inside Foods there. Let me get that out of the way. Now back to the singles. I mean, you got Tony's obviously always going to be the favorite. How can he not be? He's a singles machine and the number one player on the planet. So, I mean, you got to go with that. But listen, there's going to be a ton of good players here and a ton of sleepers here, okay? I mean, you don't forget the old guys like old Alfredo, okay? He might surprise you a little bit. You got Kevin Romero that's coming on. You got Kane that's coming on. You got a whole bunch of players that can get in there and compete. So I won't pick Tony.
Okay, fair enough.
Competition in doubles and singles is just off the charts. And oh, by the way, this is something that has to be mentioned. I looked at the chart and the list of lady players, women players that are coming to this tournament, and I'm telling you, this is world championship class field right here. I mean, it is off the charts. It is something to watch this year is the women's events.
Steve, we just lost your audio.
Field.
Video too.
There we go.
The singles players, the doubles teams that are matching up, the female players, just all the way around. And then, oh, by the way, there's about 100 pros that could beat the shit out of any master on any given day. Okay, so the competition level is just off the charts, Jim.
Yeah. Hey, man, I got a question for you. I want to know, Steve. You must have some analytics now. How's the hotel booking out? What's the pre-registrations like? Let's talk. I want to hear a little bit about what you're feeling about the attendance to this tournament.
Well, you know that I'm not afraid of much. But this tournament scares the living shit out of me, okay? I mean, the numbers are through the roof.
Really?
I say that with a little tongue in cheek. We're going to be fine, okay? I think the turnout's going to be off the charts. Our numbers are better than they've ever been before, and there's obvious reasons for that. Everybody's been locked down on COVID for the last year, and unfortunately, Vegas got canceled. That was a disappointment to all of us. We all had our tickets. We wanted to go and play in Vegas, and then when that got canceled, things started to loosen up a little bit, and it just made perfect sense to run the Texas State. And, everything's going well in the state. All the numbers, everything's declining. Everything's looking very positive. And because of that, I can tell you, Mark, that the numbers at the hotel are just absolutely through the roof. It's frightening.
Well, to hear you say it's frightening, coming from you, that's saying something.
Well, listen, I've got, you hear a lot of people talk about the best crew in the business. Well, you can look no farther than the Texas State crew. They are the best in the business.
Right.
And we have a format and we have a plan that's going to make things run smooth. And we're going to make sure that people are going to get out there, and when their events start, they're going to be playing their events. Okay, now look, they may run a little bit longer now because of the massive turnout, but I assure you, when it's time to play, you're going to be playing. You're not going to be sitting around.
Yeah, you could make an argument that this event is the first major championship for going back maybe Tornado Worlds 2019, maybe if you want to throw Colorado State in there, which is the other big-time kind of state championship that we have. But it's been a while, and people have been chomping at the bit. Obviously, the last year plus have been difficult on everyone, on foosball in particular. And people are ready to get out there. And finally, we've got there's been smaller tournaments here, regional stuff that people have attended. But now, with things opening up, with vaccines, et cetera, kind of allowing us to get out and really get back to normal, sort of. How much of a factor do you think that is in this huge apparent turnout that we're looking at? And don't get too nervous. And really, you're not nervous about, not getting enough people. You're worried about having too many people and what that might mean. Although having that extra day on Monday is a nice thing to have. But how much do you think people just can't wait to get out, see their friends, get out there and play and feel normal in a major championship sort of setting, great hotel? How much of that do you think is factored into this apparent great turnout?
Oh, it's obvious. I mean, listen, we've all been locked down for too long. Everybody wants to get out and play. Glad that the Florida tournament went well. The Moneyball tournament went well. Unfortunately, Vegas canceled. We were all looking forward to that tournament, and for obvious reasons, to recognize our Hall of Famers and all that stuff. And we all just wanted to see each other and play, right? But that is the main factor, Jim. I mean, just everybody has just been pent up for so long. I think the energy and you're gonna feel some real high energy in that ballroom. People are wanting to play, and the level of competition is going to be very high. So I look for it to be pretty intense for about 4 days. But you're right, though, because of the pandemic and all that crud that we don't even want to waste our time talking about. That's a main factor that's probably enhanced our turnout. I think we would have done well with or without it, but the fact is, it certainly hadn't hurt our turnout, and I wish it wasn't that way. But I'm excited about it. I know that everybody's going to have a great time seeing all their family and friends. I mean, the Foos family's been away from each other. I mean, the whole Foos family together, right? I mean, there's been some regional stuff, which is great, and everybody's got to get together. But I think this is really, with being in Dallas-Fort Worth, in a hub right there, right close to the airport, and easy to get in and out of. I think that's got a lot to do with it, and I just think that gives everybody an opportunity to get in here and compete, and play some good foosball, see their family, and enjoy the weekend.
And
I gotta ask. Sorry, no, go Tom. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that in that vein, that I understand there's a shuttle running from DFW and also from Love Field, correct?
Yes, there's shuttles. And listen, Tom, I'm sorry if you're going into Dallas-Fort Worth, because it'll take you a whole 4.5 minutes to get to the hotel. Okay, so listen, try to be patient.
Okay.
No, it's very, Tom, to answer your question, it's very, very convenient. If you're coming into Love Field, you're literally 15, 20 minutes away. And if you're at DFW, you're 5 minutes away. It's
Awesome.
a very convenient hotel and easy to get to, easy to get out of. And if you got flights going home, we're going to make sure everybody makes their flights and all that stuff. And that's been part of our design over the years, to make sure that we make it convenient for the players. You know, we want to make sure that they can get in and get out without having to really worry about rides and worry about missing flights and stuff like that. And then you throw in old Radix format that eliminates a lot of the conflicts and stuff, and it just makes for an enjoyable weekend. We get people in and out, and it's just better.
Well, that's fantastic. And I know these Mark and Jim and Claire, much too polite to ask, but did you save us the penthouse suite? Just wondering.
Oh, absolutely. It's you'll love Rar and Sons Dadgum IPA.
Ooh, IPA. That sounds interesting.
You think I'm kidding you, Tom? I have some Deep Ellum IPA for Jim because I know he loves that. And for you, just because you're coming to Texas for the first time in a while, you're going to get some of the Rar and Sons Dadgum IPA.
I love it. I am your challenge.
I got a couple things, man. First of all, the first time you guys are using a software that I got to see used. I got to see this software used at Portland Moneyball, and this software is awesome. It is wicked good, and it is the best thing out there right now. Now, I'm not a homer either. It's not on my agenda. I don't sell the software, but I think it's going to be damn good. But outside of that, do you have any analytics, Steve, that kind of point to new players? And this is going somewhere with me in a second. But do you have anything that tells you that you get some new people coming out that haven't played your tournament before?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't have the specific numbers in front of me, but I'm telling you that there's players coming out of the woodwork that have not been here for years, and there's also a ton of new players that's never experienced the Texas State.
Cool.
We got players out of Wisconsin and all over. I mean, just guys that haven't played for years are going to come down and join us, and some old dogs like me that are going to come out and play some of the seniors events and just check it out. So I am just really encouraged by the number of not only first timers to Texas State, old timers to Texas State, and everything in between. So really, you put all that together, Mark, and it's going to be a turnout.
Well, let me add to your message. So the new InsideFoos is no longer just Jim as a sole proprietorship. We have, I don't even know the number we have there that are on our team. I don't know, Jim. We haven't counted, but
at least 12. Yeah, 12 or
12 people, man. Yep. So let me to close the loop on this message. When InsideFoos, and you know this, I'm kind of talking to the crowd with some bluster, but when InsideFoos partners with the foosball tournament, you get our team too to support your tournament, and it's important for us. And it's not just philanthropy. It serves us at your tournament, that the new players especially. Not that we don't care. It matters to us that everybody has the best experience possible. It matters to us because it means they're going to come back and bring more people with them next year. So you got 12 more people on your team, Steve, to make sure this tournament is just a wicked, good, positive experience. We're at your disposal, man, to support you, to make this a great
Mark, I will tell you, no question, absolutely no question, what your team has done for us in terms of the promo videos and just the verbiage and you guys talking about it. But I'm telling you, the videos were incredible. My whole family, they thought that was the coolest thing since sliced bread. So
great.
So there's no question that what you've done to help us promote this has made a difference. Okay, so I want to thank you for that. I'm not blowing smoke. I just think, you know what, it was really cool for me personally, and I think as far as getting the word out, explaining to people, what we're all about and all that stuff. There's no question that your guys' efforts has enhanced the.
You went mute on us, but he's saying that he loves me, he adores me, he wants to have my babies.
I'm not
sure. He wants to have my babies. He's like,
pretty sure he's not saying that.
I'm now a Texas legend. All that.
It's a symbiotic relationship, no doubt about it. InsideFoos, Texas State, and promoters in general, even this one in specific, especially because of the greatness of this event. But I also want to, when we get Steve back, there he is. Steve's back. We talked a little bit as we kind of hone in on the viewer experience for next week. The people who can't make it, sorry folks, you should be there. But if you can't, tune in to InsideFoos.com And, we talked about singles where Tony is the heavy favorite. It's not that way in doubles. There are definitely a few teams that are going to be in the mix here, maybe 7 or 8 of them or more, that could win this championship, Steve. And I know you've got a list of some of the teams that are playing together this weekend. And there's some big names and some world championship teams, at least 2 of them, who have won world titles together. Talk a little bit, if you don't mind, bring up some of those teams and talk about some of the contenders in the open doubles event.
So I can give you 8 teams right now that could win any tournament anywhere on the planet at any given time. Tommy and Brandon, world champions.
Tom
Senior, Tom Senior and Dylan, they can win a tournament on any time. You got a guy by the name of Tony Spreedeman playing with one of the rock solid goalies in Florida, Eric Haltner. You got a couple Mississippi boys, Blake and Shannon, are playing together. Probably 2 of my favorites. I'm biased, I can't help it, but Rob Mares and Tommy. I mean, I love Tommy. I love to see Tommy do well. He's one of my favorite players of all time. And then, oh, by the way, I told you my sleeper would probably be Kevin Romero and Kane Gabriel, right? And that's just. Wait, did I leave out Terry Rue and Tracy McMillan?
No.
I mean, come on, those guys could win anywhere at any time. They're proven winners. But what I've seen, Jim, I've seen like a long list of, I call them sleepers. They're not sleepers by any mean, but what I mean by that is they can beat any one of those 8 teams on any given day, and I mean they can, they can compete with anybody on the planet. So the level of competition, the top 16 seeds in both events, open doubles, open singles, and women's doubles and women's singles, is going to be ridiculous. Okay, you better win your bracket, or you're going to go home early.
Yeah. There's so many. Texas State, when you talk about the level of pros that don't get the immediate recognition or the name recognition or the championship recognition, there will be an upset. Those are easily the top 8 teams, but there will be one of those teams is going in the losers bracket that doesn't think they're going in the losers bracket, and one of those teams is going to be elevated. They're going to play at their peak performance, and they're going to be very difficult to beat because they're going to peak out and they're going to do very, very well. And I will tell you, if Tommy Atkinson brings the same level of grit that he finished Portland Moneyball with, and I don't believe he's played with Rob Morris for years. I don't think they played a tournament for a long time. And Robert Morris they won open doubles of the worlds together. Robert Morris is a different. Robert Morris is a different animal than he was in 96.
Yep.
He's become a pure beast of always both sides, but this goalie game is unreal. And so when I was watching a Portland Moneyball, he would crush one out of the back when it was convenient and he was timed perfectly. Like a 3-3 point, he knew exactly what shot he was going to shoot. The passes, he's probably the best passer right now from the goalie area in foosball. And so if he's able to dictate terms like he did, of course he's playing with Tony, and that gives you a whole different level of latitude. But now he's playing with Tommy Atkinson. Tommy Atkinson did some things that I haven't seen him do in a long time. He intimidated people out of wins. He took people out of their game by getting in their grill. And let me read really back. Was he in the grill? He was loud, and he was Tommy. He was engaging. He was never directly incendiary. He wasn't saying anything inflammatory to the opponent. But he was, he broke like, not that we wanted to do this. Tommy, we don't want you breaking bumpers. But he was crushing the ball and recoiling the ball and throwing the rod, and he intimidated people out of ways. If he brings that fire, look for Tommy and Robbie to get to third and to be nipping at the heels of whoever thinks they're going to win this tournament. So I think that's going to be a very, very exciting open doubles bracket to watch. It's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's a team that certainly could win it. Obviously Tommy Yore and Brandon Moreland, 2019 Tornado World Champions, have got to be in the mix as well. And you can never count out Tony Spredeman, especially when he's playing with a quality goalie like Eric Hiltner. And you mentioned the other teams. I mean, Terry Rue and Tracy McMillan. One thing we see about that team, one thing we see about Tommy and Rob is the versatility. If Atkinson's not doing it at forward, Robbie can come up there for a stretch, and Atkinson's a solid goalie. Same thing with McMillan and Rue, 2 guys who can both play the forward position, 2 guys who can both play the goalie position. Versatility important there. But that's 3 really great teams, and there are several others, Steve, as you documented, that could also win it. Kevin Romero was fantastic. He was the second best player up in Portland after Tony, and is a guy who is really on the rise, a guy who really is focused on his game, and he lives with Kane Gabriel in Castle Rock, Colorado, where I know they've been working out on a regular basis, preparing for this event and beyond. So that's another team that I'm not even sure if they beat one of these other top 3 teams. that it would be called an upset because of the quality of their game. So no, that's what's exciting. I'm excited about it. Tom's excited about it. Mark's excited about it. Clay might be. I don't know. I can't.
Are you kidding me,
tell
man?
from Clay.
What do you think?
Clay,
Let me tell you what Clay feels like right now.
one of Clay's 5 personalities is bound to be excited by it. But no, it really, for those of us who, we got to get our feet wet a little bit up in Moneyball, great events, etc. But, I've also been looking forward to getting back out into it at a major championship and talking about these great players and commentating these big time matches, and to do it in Texas at my favorite tournament it's just, I can't wait to get down there. There might have been a question in there somewhere. I don't know. I was just me sort of ranting.
It's okay. I'm just going to tell you, we're going to put you in a good position to watch the best players on the planet play, and we're going to give you a nice, comfortable space to operate in. And I'm looking forward to it. I think you'll be impressed. We've got a couple things on the docket here that we haven't done in the past. I think you'll like, and we're thoroughly excited about the whole thing. And
yeah, that was one of my questions, Steve, is what can we expect that we haven't seen before at Texas State's this year?
Well, we're going to, the room setup's going to be a little bit different, and we're going to focus. Well, I don't want to get, we're going to make sure that the pit area is a big focus, and
okay,
we're going to spread out a little bit so people are comfortable. We're going to make sure that we don't crowd any tables in there. We've got plenty of space and all that stuff. But if I was going to focus on any one thing, I think we're going to do some different stuff with the pit area, and I think it will be fun for everybody, not only you guys, but I think it'll be fun for the players. And so we just, we're gonna do what we know works over the years. We're gonna do some of the same stuff that we've always done, and then we're gonna try a few new things. Jason's got some really cool stuff that we've been talking about. We're going to run some streaming through the hotel that when people are lounging at the bar and in restaurants, we're hoping that they can watch some of the streaming and stuff. So we're going to try to do some new things. But listen, you've heard the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we're going to do what we do, Tom, but we're going to throw a couple new spins on it. And, with it being the 30th anniversary, we want it to be special for everybody, including you guys.
Well, you consider this, that, let's see, it's Sunday evening, 1 week from tonight. FoosTalk Live will be live, coming from Texas State's. And, we hope that we can catch you at least for a couple of minutes to give us an update.
I'd be honored. I'd be honored to do that. You guys are welcome. I'm just completely stoked that you're doing your broadcast from the Texas State. That's exciting stuff in itself.
Yes.
And, I would like for you to get with the Texas State team, get with Jason, get with David, get with Brittany, get with, let's talk to some of the setup and teardown guys. Let's talk to some of the people that are instrumental in making this thing happen.
Yeah. No, we definitely want to get to the essence of what the Texas State Championships is all about, and that, of course, is a big part of it.
Dadgum IPA, Tom.
Dadgum IPA. I dig it. No, it's looking forward to Texas hospitality. And oh, by the way, how's the barbecue in the hotel?
I won't go out on a limb and say the barbecue at the hotel is good. Okay. I'm sure the food is very good at the hotel, but I'm not going to say I would recommend you to get your best Texas barbecue at the Sheraton.
So just a quick
you're off somewhere and get some barbecue. We'll send you to the right place. But
cool.
I'm not going to tell you to get your Texas barbecue at the Sheraton.
By the way, in Texas, hotel barbecue is still better than non-Texas barbecue.
Oh, yeah, maybe so.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, it's funny. Up here in Durango, we've got the very best barbecue place in town, and there's two of them one on the north side, one on the south side, and it's called Serious Texas Barbecue. And they're actually really good here in Durango. So, hey, great chatting Texas State with you, Steve. And I can't believe we're only a few days away from actually being in the same place at the same time with all of us. All 5 of us are going to be there.
Wow.
We appreciate so much what you have given to the sport over the years, obviously as a player, but also as a promoter and an ambassador, et cetera. And, a guy that really cares. And that's obvious, in anything you do. And it's from the, speaking for the foosball community at large, thank you so much for what you do, not only with this event, but just in general for the sport of table soccer. Thanks, buddy.
Right back at you guys. Thank you for having us on. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Oh,
And,
yeah. Likewise.
Sunday night, Tom, I'll go over my top 5, okay?
Yeah, let's do
right.
that. Yeah.
Top 5 Texas barbecues. There we go.
Exactly. There you go. God bless you guys. We'll see you in about a week, okay?
Cheers, man. See you, buddy.
Thanks, Steve. See you, man.
Yeah, no, this is so extraordinary to think all of a sudden we've gone from what was a mild-mannered everyday foosball podcast to, an opportunity to really be in the heart of things when it comes to the best foosball action on the planet.
Yeah,
Wow.
no doubt about it, and that's really going to be the case. And I know how excited you are, Tom. I've sensed it now for several weeks of getting down there and be able to really immerse yourself in one of the great events in the world, and be able to broadcast live from there. Of course, Mark and I are going to be a little busy, maybe at times, but certainly are going to make certainly take the opportunity whenever we can to join you at FoosTalk Live as well, and maybe even you should hop on with us as well.
I was going to say
to talk a little foosball.
You should, man. Listen, InsideFoos right now has subscribers in 23 countries.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've really gotten out there in the world with people who are subscribing, and a lot of them are subscribing for the live stream.
Right.
Yeah, our content is great. Our recorded archive, our original content, fine. But a lot of them want to see live foosball action, and they want to hear about it. They want to hear it.
It's not just one live stream; it's 3, correct?
Right.
Yeah,
It's
three
live streams.
Right.
And there's a portion of it, a couple hours are free. But if you really want the quarterfinals, semifinals, you want the finals, you want the behind the scenes, if you want to see great foosball action, or you want to get inside the game, you want to hear the human interest stories, you want to be part of the drama, you get your subscription to InsideFoos. And you get to see what's going to happen at Texas State. And I will bring it to you. And Jim's going to bring it to you. When I was saying I'm saying the interviews and that kind of thing. But Jim and I and the team, there's a whole team behind this machine. There's 12 of us that are coming. There's 38 of us in the world. There's 12 of us that are coming to the tournament.
Right.
I've gone from a one-man band to a symphony orchestra, and we're ready to play. The string section is ready.
The chamber ensemble will be there for sure.
Yeah.
So Mark, I understand you, of course, you got some practice in as the, shall we say, the masked man with a camera, running around the tournament, talking to people, players at random. That was kind of neat. Will you be doing the same thing at Texas State?
Well, COVID is afraid of Texas. So because their mask mandate,
COVID ain't trying to come to
herd
Texas and
immunity
mess around and
9
get
months
shot.
ago or something. So
they say.
I don't know. I don't know if I have to wear a mask or not. But yeah. But Tom, you're a professional interviewee and interviewer. You're the interviewer, right? You're the interviewer. You're a professional. So we got to hang out a little bit together. You can show me what to do right and wrong.
I think like a Lone Ranger mask would be really cool, don't you, Tom?
Yeah,
Just
super
a Lone Ranger mask, Batman, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yes, man.
The whole nine.
But Tom, you're gonna have to get out there too and talk to some people. And one of the things foosers like is when you ask them questions they're uncomfortable with, like how are you gonna beat that guy who's standing an inch away from you? How are you gonna beat that? So we're gonna have some fun, man. We're gonna have some fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's
for
gonna be a blast. We'll let loose, so to speak. And guys, I think in honor of going to Texas, we need to come up with some nicknames. I don't know, like
Let's plenty.
Yeah. How about Austin Tom or Jim Bob Dallas, or something that fits you. What do you guys think?
I can tell you one thing from my professional expertise and my knowledge of certain things in life. I can say that if you have a nickname, you're more likely to get caught. And I'll just leave it at that. So I'm gonna keep riding with Clay, and if you guys want one, I'll oblige your new nicknames.
Sheriff Tom.
They used to call me. They used to call me the whore. So
El Horo. Okay. All right.
Horror. Was that horror? I hope.
Sure.
El Horo.
I think we've reached the end of this one, guys. But hey, what a great pleasure it was to have the eminent Mr. Murray on with us tonight, and what a great pleasure it is to look forward to getting back out there on a major scale. And covering the world of foosball. And again, 6 p.m. Central Time, Friday night. Mark and I will be sitting at the desk doing our thing. Clay's going to be there to handle stats. Tom's going to be there. Jason Wicks will be there handling the stream, etc. Steve Murray will be there shaking hands as you come in, kind of Joe Frazier at the front
hands and kissing babies with his ambassadorial.
Are we allowed to kiss babies
on?
anymore? Maybe in
Texas
Texas you're allowed to kiss babies.
You get shot.
I know I want to, I know we're getting close to closing out here tonight, but when I see my friends, I just want to run up and hug them. Am I allowed to do that? I don't know. We'll
yes,
see.
you are.
I am vaccinated.
And I'll say it it right now. Anybody who needs a hug, even if you don't know me, I will be giving out free hugs all weekend, man, because that is what's up.
You used to charge for them. It's nice to know that you're giving them away for free now.
I used to pay for them. What you mean, man? I used to pay for them. You know what I'm saying?
All right. I'm out.
I'm out, man. Thank you so much, Tom.
We will be together soon, and we'll be able to insult each other to our faces. I think that's exciting. Yeah,
that's awesome. Especially some dadgum IPA.
I can't wait to hurt your feelings.
Dadgum IPA. Seriously. Okay. Well, I'll bring home a case. What can I tell you? So, guys, next week, FoosTalk Live will be back, but it will be from Texas State Championships in Dallas, Texas. And we hope you can be there either in person or listening, of course. And Jim, Mark, Clay, any parting shots before we part company?
I'm excited. I'm going to see you guys in a couple days, man. Thank you so much. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, the same here. Looking forward to spending a weekend with my friends, both live and, of course, on the airwaves as well.
There you go.
I just want to shoot a slingshot on Meatball. I'm just looking for the worst time to not call a timeout and go with something fast and regret it. Man. I've missed it. That's the biggest part of my game, and I've been missing it.
We're having a big competition between Jim and Mark versus Clay and Tom in the pit table, and be looking for that on InsideFoos.
Yeah.
Oh, it's happening.
That might end up just being an ongoing thing throughout the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I can feel the gray hairs coming in as I see it.
Well, till we meet again, FoosTalk Live will be back again next week.
FoosTalk Live is a product of InsideFoos. All rights reserved. Brought to you in part by InsideFoos.com. 518 Prince. Foosballers, the movie.
Appreciate everybody hanging out. We're actually going to end it here. Usually we go a little bit beyond this, but we're going to go ahead and end it now. So thanks for being here.
Of FoosTalk Live.
In the meantime,
we'll see you foozin'.